Good morning and welcome to this week's Facebook Live. And this week I'm super excited to be talking about celebrating and how celebrating actually helps us combat discouragement, which I know we all face. I faced myself in my business, and so I want to talk about it today so we can get rid of that discouragement and kick it to the curb. My name is Sarah, and I'm a startup coach, and I love helping people get started in your business and in any big project that you have. And yeah, I love helping people do that. And you can avoid the mistakes that I've made because I share them with you, and you can do better than I have by learning from me. And if you're watching this live or in the future, welcome, and I'm so glad that you're here. And if you've missed any of my previous videos, you can catch them in my Facebook group called Do the Right Work on Facebook. So today we're going to be talking about celebrating, and I have to admit that this is something I'm actually not very good at, and so I feel like when I'm not very good at something, it's time to pay attention to it and teach on it so that it brings it to the top of my mind. So I wanted to also share with you that business owners can't be great at everything. That's something that I've learned. I've had to really struggle through with that, and some things we are really great at. And here's one that I'm not really very good at. So I wanted to share it with you this morning. So first I wanted to talk to you a little bit about psychology. I know it's a little heavy for a Monday morning, but it will help us understand a little bit better how celebrating well can actually combat discouragement. So one of the things that's common for new business owners is to feel discouraged. And it is something that I've experienced overwhelmingly in my own business journey. You can work hard in your business and not see any results. Whether that's profit or client or sales or progress on your web page or progress with technology. And so this discouragement sets in, and it can lead to other emotions such as frustration or disappointment. All of which, those types of emotions, can lead to just being paralyzed. And we don't want to be paralyzed in our businesses because that prevents us from moving forward. And when we're paralyzed, another thing also happens, that we start making bad decisions because we're paralyzed, we're afraid, we're discouraged, we feel this frustration, and so we start becoming desperate and we start making poor decisions. So let's talk about why we actually get discouraged, and why we get discouraged, which is a loss of confidence or enthusiasm. You're worn out, you have fatigue, you're frustrated, weighed down, or overwhelmed. All of this makes us unclear on our next steps. And the reason we're discouraged is because we don't see our progress. We get so focused on our business and the things that we're working on, we actually don't see the progress that we've made. We're unable to see how far we've come. We aren't able to recognize the work that we've actually done, and we're unable to acknowledge that we've spent the last few months learning something new, which is hard. Learning something new takes a lot of brain power. So when we measure our progress by outdated definitions or unhelpful definitions of success or failure, we enter into a dangerous place in our business. And I talk about those unhealthy, unhelpful definitions of success and failure in another video, and I'll link to that below. And this just becomes an unhealthy cycle in our minds that we keep playing out on repeat. So here's the cycle. We try something new, we set unrealistic expectations for success, or we have no real clear definition of success or failure as we get started. And then whatever we try new probably doesn't go well because we're new, and that's okay. And then we get discouraged and we get down in the dumps. So we start the cycle over. We're like, I'm going to get desperate. I'm going to try something new. I'm going to throw all of this in. So we try something new. We don't have a good definition of success. It doesn't go well, and so we feel like a failure. And we just keep going through this cycle, and we get more and more discouraged and down in the dumps. And then we really don't ever stop this cycle to stop and reflect on it and think about it. And so it continues, and we end up in this loop of trial and error without really making a plan. And again, I do have a video about doing the right work, which I'll also link at the bottom. So here we are in this cycle, discouraged because we don't see any progress, and now we know it ends up in this endless loop. So what do we do to avoid feeling discouraged and keeping going in this endless loop? We track our progress with realistic tracking to know what the progress is that we've made. And what do we do after we track our progress? We celebrate. We tell our minds that this little bit of progress is a really good thing and we want to keep doing it. We want to train our brain for this kind of behavior so that we keep it up. Action that leads to celebration is good, and we have to train our brain to think that and believe that. And then we get into this cycle of perpetuating forward motion instead of that endless loop of paralyzed behavior, not making good decisions. When we're building a business, we often get so close to the situation. We're so in the thick of it and in the middle of it. We don't have others to brainstorm with. We're only in our own minds, so we can't see the progress that we've made. And when we have no system of marking our progress along the way, we think we haven't done anything in our business. Our brains are actually terrible at remembering. And I have a really great podcast by Malcolm Gladwell that I love. He does a podcast called Revisionist History, which is a great podcast. And he actually talks about this and how terrible we are at remembering. We think we're really good, but the way we actually remember isn't very reliable. So we have to put things in writing each week, each month, each quarter, so we remember, oh yeah, I used to be doing this in my business, now I'm doing this, and I'm actually making progress. So we need to have that actually in writing. And then in the end, we actually need to celebrate. So I know that's a lot of background information, so here's the actual action steps that you can take in order to celebrate. The first one is to set up a system to reflect and review and to mark your progress so that you know what you need to celebrate. Your brain is actually terrible at remembering, like I said, so you have to do the work for your brain by writing it down. And if you don't have a system to do this, I highly recommend another video that I have about doing a 90-day sprint to learn a system to help you with this process. I have seen such a benefit from doing this 90-day sprint, reflecting each week, reflecting each quarter, to be able to see my progress so that I can keep going and not get discouraged. It also gives me a system for bite-sized goals and tasks so that you're able to see your progress. When you have such a large goal and large tasks to do, it's hard to see the progress along the way. So doing this practice helps train your brain so you're able to make progress on your business and actually be successful. You aren't successful at some point in the future. It's not some magic finish line that you're going to cross in 10 months or in a year or sometime in the future. You're actually successful each day that you show up in your business and do the work. But you need to mark that down and remember it, because we think that it's some grand finish line we're going to cross in the future. But just like when I was running, I used to do a lot of running, the success isn't in getting across the finish line at some race. The success is that I showed up every day for months and months and months before I even got to that starting line. So you need to have a system to reflect and mark your progress. Celebrate, this is the second action step, is celebrating needs to be a regular rhythm in your business journey. It's not something you plan for in the future, again, some magical finish line that you cross. It's about doing it daily and starting now and having a regular practice of it, and you train your brain and your body now. You aren't excited at the end of the race when you finish it just because you finished the race. You're excited each day that you cross off that training that you've done in order to get to the starting line. This also helps prepare your brain and your mind to be able to celebrate when you do have a big success in the end. You often find people who maybe they've done all this work, they have kept their nose to the grindstone, they keep doing all this hard work, and then they have this huge successful launch of some course that they've created, but they're not even happy about it because they didn't even realize what a big deal it was. They're just on to the next thing. So we have to train our brain and our body now and our mind now to celebrate these small successes. The other thing is that you don't typically jump from $0 in your bank account to all of a sudden making 6 figures in a month. That's a huge leap. And we don't typically see that. We see these small things along the way. So we want to celebrate along the way and not just wait for some six-figure launch. Our brains don't actually know how to process that big of a leap, so we have to process it all along the way. And fear of success is a real thing, and so if we haven't taken these small steps along the way, we won't ever be able to get to that big leap. We prepare our minds for that big thing now. And action step number 3 is a regular system to remember your progress, and making celebration a regular rhythm in your business does one more thing for you. It builds encouragement for others. When we are able to talk about these small progresses that we made, these small steps, these small wins, we help generate excitement and encouragement in others, other people who are building a business, other people who are simply supporting you along the way. We generate that positive energy so that they can keep going in whatever they're doing as well. It allows them to see what you're doing and also celebrate along with you. And we want those people along with us. If people are encouraging us in our business and they don't ever hear about these small successes, they're going to become tired of celebrating you in your business, and it's going to be harder for them. But when we see, oh yeah, I did this and I made this progress and I got this client and now I have this many people on my email list, that helps them encourage us as well. So let's wrap this up. How do we actually celebrate? We've got these rhythms in place. We've got these ways to remember what we're doing. So how do we actually celebrate? I think in our minds, a lot of times, for me, I think it has to be like some big deal, but that's actually not true. It doesn't have to be this big party and everybody's celebrating. It can be small celebrations each and every day. So how do we celebrate? One is by pausing before you finish the day. Make it part of your rhythm to finish your work on your business and look through the list of things that you actually accomplished for the day. Not your list like I have of like all the things I need to do tomorrow and get done this week and all the things that were left unfinished. We're looking at our list as what we got done, what we learned, who we helped, who we served, and we celebrate that. And we just pause. It just takes a moment of like taking a deep breath and like, yes, I did what I was supposed to do today. I learned something new. I helped one person. I did something in my business today, and we celebrate that. And you can actually tell yourself sometimes at the end of the day, I'm just like, hey, good job. Nobody else is telling you that. You aren't like in a co-working situation with other people. You don't have a boss anymore. You've got to be your own boss. So you've got to tell yourself what you need to hear. Hey, I did a good job today, and I'm gonna be happy about that. And make that part of your routine, that part of your shutdown routine at the end of the night of celebrating what you got done for that day. Share with others. That's another way you celebrate. You share it in my Facebook group on Fridays. Hey, I did this, or just share it on any day. Make a post and say, hey, I got this done today and I'm really excited about it, so that we can celebrate with you. You can shoot a text to a friend and say, hey, I finished this big project, or hey, I made this tiny small step on this project today and I want to celebrate with you. You can celebrate with a phone call, whatever it takes, but ask others to celebrate with you. The other thing is you can do something fun. In our family, we always celebrate with ice cream. That's something we've done for many, many years. It's a tradition in our family. My kids play soccer, so when they get a goal in soccer, we celebrate with ice cream. Sometimes we go out for ice cream to Dairy Queen. That's one of our favorite places. Sometimes we just have ice cream at home. And then sometimes when we're ready to celebrate something big, like the end of the school year or a test that my kids aced, we go to a fancier place in our little old downtown area that's more of a fancy ice cream shop. So there's kind of levels of celebration there too, but ice cream is a great way. We share that all the time, that we celebrate with ice cream, and it's been really fun over the years to have people text me, hey, we started getting ice cream for our kid when they got a goal, and they send me a picture of their kid in their front seat, eating ice cream, or, so my celebrating has helped other people celebrate well, which is super fun. So you could figure out what's something fun in your family to do to celebrate. Then there is also that a good thing of celebrating with a bigger something, and you plan for that. Hey, when I do this launch or when I get my email list up and going, that you have a bigger goal of going out to a nice dinner, getting a pedicure. That's one of my favorite things to do, a fun outing. And maybe it's going to be something bigger, like a vacation or a bigger event that you're going to do to celebrate that you're working towards, which is great. Someday in my business, when I make enough money, I want to take my family to Scotland. That's just always been on my list. That's a big dream. I don't know when it's going to happen, maybe in a year, maybe in 3 years. And that's great for me to have that kind of sitting out there as something I want to do, but I need to be celebrating with these small things all along the way before I get to that big trip. A couple other ways that you can celebrate is to take time to actually feel the emotions and to tell yourself that this is really a big deal. And I'm preaching to the choir here because I really am terrible at this. I'm not very good at sitting with my emotions of joy and excitement and just telling myself that, hey, getting X number of people on my email list or X number of people in my Facebook group, it's a big deal. If that many people were sitting in a room with me right now, I would have a full classroom of people to teach to. That's a big deal. So I think we don't do a good job of that, especially as moms and women. We're like on to the next thing and like moving on. Sometimes we just need to sit. Sometimes there's like tears involved because there's just so much joy and relief that I finally made it this step in my business. And we want to go through those emotions now so that when we get to the big deal of like having a huge launch, we've already processed all of these small emotions along the way. You see a lot of people that have a huge depressive episode after they have a huge launch and make, $60,000 on a launch of a course. They have this huge depressive episode because they haven't celebrated and gone through all of the emotions for the months and years that it took to get to that point. So you can avoid that kind of huge letdown by processing it along the way. And then I already mentioned this one, but you can share your weekly wins on my Friday post. I love to hear about what other people are doing. It encourages me, and it can be an encouragement to others in the group. So take time to share that. It seems like a small thing, but it really helps train our brain that celebrating and sharing and marking these small steps along the way are really good for us. So your takeaway for today is to start celebrating now. Find small ways daily and weekly to celebrate and mark your progress. This practice or rhythm helps build us towards success for later. And one book that I've been reading, I love to share books that are good to help with these types of things, is called The Happiness Advantage. I got it from my library, but it's been a really great book. And one of the things it talks about is that when we start to get discouraged, we tend to withdraw from our social groups. And they have found through scientific research that when we are discouraged and getting into that disappointment cycle that I was talking about, that's when we need people the most. We need to be leaning in the most to people. And so that book talks about how you can do that, leaning into these social structures that we have when we need them the most, when we're starting to get discouraged. So if these trainings are helpful to you, I would love to have you share them with others and invite others that are on the business journey to the group. And then next Monday, I'm going to be talking about building your A team. There are 3 types of A people that we need in our business. Actually, there's 2 that we need and 1 that we don't, that we want to avoid. And I want to help you name who those people are that you'll need on your business journey to help you celebrate and to help you see these big wins that you're having. So I'd love to have you join me for that. And also coming up in May and June, I'm going to be doing a series that talks about all the nuts and bolts that you need for starting your business, finding who you serve, how to find more clients, what the heck is a funnel, why you need an email list, and just all of these things that you need to have in your business. I'm going to be breaking those down. So if there are things that you would like to know, drop them in a comment below because I would love to address those in that series. But I want to break it all down and make it easy to understand and in small chunks. I think a lot of times other coaches give you all this information and it's so overwhelming, and I want to break it down for you. So invite your friends, and those will be Mondays in May, June, and probably way into July for this summer. So I hope that you have a great day, and thanks for joining me here, and have a great week and celebrate those wins well.